Let's start with you, Harbhajan. We are building this up as a repeat of the last T20 World Cup semi-final, India, England, same teams. That time, England were too good on the day. But would you say that things have changed from that time to this time? 2 years is a long time. And if they have, what do you think has changed from 2022 semi-final to this semi-final in 2024?
I think the venue, the pitch, everything have changed. On such condition in Adelaide, England team, they looked better. They had good batting. Their bowling also looked really, really good. And those conditions, they enjoyed playing at. And now here, conditions are totally different in Guyana. These conditions will probably favor India more than England because India have got good player of spin bowling. They'll play spin better than the English team. I think that's what have changed. If we see the larger picture, it's just the condition, the pitch, and the dimension of the game, the ground have totally changed. And the Team India have also been unbeaten in this competition so far. So the confidence is also high. So all these things have changed for Team India, and they look like a very good unit to me.
Okay, I also want to get across to Monty, but before that, Harbhajan, because you're talking about what has changed. One, you mentioned the conditions. The other, you mentioned, the form that the Indian team is showing, the confidence that this Indian team is showing. That's different. But if I could pick your brains a little bit more, do you also reckon that on that day I was there in Adelaide and everyone mentioned that there was this fear of failure that the Indian team had? This time you clearly see a different approach. They're playing aggressive cricket. Do you think that has also changed? On that day they seem to be very meek against England in Adelaide. There has been a conscious decision to change that approach. Do you see that also having changed for the Indian team this time, Harbhajan?
Well, they tried their best even in Australia. I think Team India played brilliant cricket even in Australia. So I don't think there is much change in approach. Yes, that will to win was there as well in Australia, and same we see it here also. It is just that they have played these conditions better than the other teams, so they are looking a very, very good team. I don't see anything major change from there to now. Obviously, Rohit mentioned in his previous speech, he said we wanted to change the course of the game by playing some aggressive cricket at the top, and that's exactly what he's trying to do. And that's probably one of the change I can say that we have seen in the last game, at least, where the conditions were little better to bat on. Rohit showed that intent. He showed that intent even in the 50 overs World Cup till the time he was batting. But it is obviously the other guys, they'll also need to raise their hand and match those footprints of Rohit Sharma and do the needful what teams wants them to do.
Okay, let's talk about Virat Kohli. I know the Indian batting order has been firing. Someone or the other has stepped up, with the exception of Virat Kohli. How do you see his form? Do you reckon he's a big match player and his best is probably been saved for the semi-finals and the finals, and the Indian fans in that regard then can look forward to a big one from their favorite cricketer in Virat?
Well, I'm hoping that he's saving those runs for the big occasions, semis and the finals. I'm hoping semis first and the finals later on. But Virat Kohli, since we are so used to watching him scoring those important runs for India, I think the larger picture is to win the World Cup. Who score runs, who takes wicket, it's a secondary thing. Of course, we want to see Virat Kohli scoring those runs. Rohit Sharma was so good in the previous game against Australia. You want your big guns to fire when it comes, the business end of the tournament, when it matters the most. You expect your Virat Kohli or Rohit Sharma and other cricketers to fire and score those runs. I'm hoping Virat Kohli will come into the party, but even if he doesn't, but rest of the guys are scoring so heavily. They are winning games. That's more important than anyone individual scoring runs or not.
Okay, Harbhajan, you talk about rest of the guys, and when I talk about rest of the guys, the other name that really comes to my mind is Jasprit Bumrah. You mentioned conditions here are different, and India start favorite because spin-friendly conditions. India clearly have the better spinners compared to England, but I'm going to talk about a fast bowler. It's Jasprit Bumrah. These could be spin-friendly conditions, but do you think he is that X factor? He is the reason that most people might give India that slight edge over England?
Well, it's good to have Jasprit Bumrah playing for India. Of course, he's a match winner. He's one of those guys who's hard to pick. His action is different. His quality is different than the others. So he's making a big difference, huge difference in this Indian setup. So good to see him playing for India. And of course, people are right if they're complaining about it. Other teams are getting only 16 overs because Jasprit Bumrah is hardly giving any runs. His um, if you see his every match scorecard is like 4 overs, 7 runs, 3 wicket, 4 over 9 runs, 3 wickets. So it's like he's hardly giving any runs and taking those important wickets as well. But Nikhil, again, I'm saying that Jasprit Bumrah is brilliant. There's no doubt. But Arshdeep, how brilliant he's been on this trip. He's been picking those wickets with the new ball.
Yeah.
Yesterday it was Warner, but on the previous day it was someone else. He's been, bowling as well as Jasprit Bumrah, taking those important wicket at right time with the new ball and also with the old ball. But Bumrah being Bumrah, he is a big, big match winner, and good to have him in our side.
Okay, Harbhajan, let me get into some specifics about the Indian team. You mentioned spin friendly track, which means maybe the batters also need to change their approach a bit. Should you then look at a slightly different batting order? Shivam Dube, I think he's done decently well in the last few games, but we know he enjoys good batting conditions. That's not something that you're going to get here in Guyana, in the stadium right behind me, the Providence. Do you think then maybe a good idea to ensure you get the experience of Virat in the middle order, bring him in number 3, maybe Yashasvi to open, something that the Indian team can look at, not based on form, but based on the conditions here?
Well, I don't think that is going to happen, Nikhil. I raised this point in the previous game against Australia. I thought if at all they wanted to change, that was the game to change that combo at the top. Yashasvi coming in for Shivam Dube at the top and Virat bats at number 3. But I don't think Team India will look to do anything like that. Now they are so close to the final. Any change here, big change, I don't think they are in that mind frame. They would like to go with the winning uh, kind of a formula what they have been going with, and team will remain the same. And they will tell Dube, according to the pitch, according to the condition, you have to play. But his role has been very, very clear to him to see the ball, hit the ball. When the spinners are on, you have to take things forward, and that's what exactly he's trying to do. And he looked good in last 2 games. Dube looked, better than what we have seen him in New York. In New York, those pitches were very difficult pitches for anyone to bat on. So you can't really judge a player on such wickets. But Team India, I think they will stick with Dube, even though they have a choice of Yashasvi. But I think they won't change any.